What up, you guys? Happy Sunday. It's 6:14 in the morning. Beautiful Tucson, man. I kind of wanted to switch it up a little bit, come to the park, get some fresh air before I start my day, and got a little bit of nature behind me, right? Beautiful, beautiful tree, beautiful weather. It's nice. But in this video, man, I just wanted to address what quitting looks like. This is what giving up on yourself looks like. It's gonna be a little funny story in there too, but my whole life, man, I was an athlete. Played baseball, used to wrestle, right? Started wrestling my sophomore year and all that. Started smoking weed at 18, and then got into some of the harder stuff, at 19, 20. And then as soon as I started hitting the bars at 21, bam, I was going out every week. Crazy, man. So 21 days after my 21st birthday, listen to this, 21 days after my 21st birthday, I got a DUI. My license plate light was out. I was 2 blocks away from home. In order for them not to tow my car, I had to call my dad, and he had to walk to the scene. And he got in my car, was able to drive me home. And I remember him saying, we'll talk about this in the morning. He knew I was hammered. I was coming home from the strip club. I had a good all night. But, when you're sedated under the influence, you set all that aside. You just want to jam some music and roll the windows down and hopefully you make it home, right? So I had that DUI, right? I was kind of looking for a career at that point. When I was younger, I had my 20s, 30s, and 40s lined out. My 20s, I'd be grinding. 30s, I'd be working on the career. 40s, I'd be bracing for, retirement and the rest of my life. That didn't work out. So I had that DUI. I wanted to join the military. That was one of my biggest regrets, not joining the military. I think I would have did well in the military, man. I'm a natural leader, and I think ahead, and I think it would have been a real good experience, especially that boot camp, that whole boot camp experience, man. Everyone in the military that I've spoke to says they wish every man, every person could go through at least boot camp. So I thought about what direction I wanted to go to, what branch, I wanted to be a part of. So I wanted to be one of the best, and I went to a Marine recruiter, and I let him know. We had a pretty good conversation, but I let him know I had a DUI at the time. I was still working on it. So he said, take care of that and come back. So I think I went next door, spoke to, I don't know if it was Army or Air Force or something like that. At that time, they said, just work on that, and as soon as that's taken care of, as soon as you fulfill all the obligations, then come back, So I gave up on that dream, I guess I didn't want it bad enough, right? Gave up on that. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I was still looking at careers, Border Patrol. I didn't have any trades, my only skills were customer service, working with people. I had no trades, no physical trades, no plumbing, working on cars, nothing like that. I wasn't raised that way. I should have taught myself, right? I don't think YouTube was a thing back then. I didn't know there were trade schools out there. That would have been a good route. So, Border Patrol was an option. Police officer was an option. keep in mind, I was still smoking weed at the time. I was still going out at the time, risking my life every week. So I thought about it, a little more and more. I was like, all right, let me look into being a CEO. I didn't want to be border patrol. I didn't want to go out and hem up my people. I didn't want to go mess with my people like that. So I thought, being a CEO, correctional officer, would be a good idea. Ultimately, I ended up on the other side of the fence, right? As time went on, jails, and then ended up in prison. But at that time, I filled out I think it was online stuff, or I went in, filled out some paperwork, whatever. They scheduled me a date to go test. I had to take like a written test and all that. So I went in, and part of the requirements for that test was to look at a picture. It was like a illustrated picture. Kind of looked like a well done coloring book. It was in color, but the image was a crime scene. And they said to study that, I think for a couple minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, something like that, right? Study that crime scene, look at everything, look at what people are wearing, look at the intersection, look at the damage, look at the vehicles, look at the witnesses around. They wanted you to study all that, the time of day, everything, stores nearby. So keep in mind, I was smoking weed at the time. I went in there high, dude. I went in there high. Once you're smoking weed for a while and you get high, like, you really don't look as lit, as high as you did when you first started. So I don't know if they could tell or not, but I went in there, tried to take that test. I scored a little over like 50%, dude. Like, ultimately I failed that test, man. So there goes my dreams of being a CEO, right? It wasn't even a dream. It was like, screw this, screw these little jobs, man. I want to have a career. So therefore, I gave up on the military. I gave up on being a correctional officer. I can't believe that, bro. It's funny. I tried to be a CEO. Fast forward some years, I end up in jail. Fast forward some more years, end up in prison. That's a trip, dude. So, man, I think that whole CO thing was like 2001, something like that. I got my DUI at the end of in September 2021, so I'm sure it was like 2022, something like that. Fast forward some time, man, I fall in love with this girl that I met at a concert. We went to go see this band called Head PE here in Tucson at The Rock. The Rock is where Little Peep died. He had his overdose there. So I met this girl. I really don't remember where. It was probably online or something. And the first time we're hanging out was to be at, we were supposed to meet at this concert. It was my friend and I was at his house, and she was bringing one of her friends. I had a cold sore on my mouth at the time. I told her about it. I'm like, look, man, we should reschedule, man. I feel like a weenie. She said, no, don't worry about it. I just want to hang out with you, meet you. And so we did that, man. And she did not care, bro. Like, she would just look in my eyes, and I'd look in hers, and that's all that mattered at the time. So we started dating. Beautiful girl, half Irish, half Mexican. So we started dating, right? And then fast forward a little more time, one of my friends ODs from heroin. And I was staying with my parents' house at the time. She was with me, that the evening when I received the call. So I told her, or once my friend called me to let me know that one of our friends died, I immediately said, look, I'll be back. So I left her in my room, and I went to go buy a bottle of vodka. And so I was drinking every night, especially that night. I was just drinking and drinking. I never dealt with my problems in a prudent way, in a wise decision. I never sought help. I just went to go self-medicate. So she saw that. She did not like that. She told me, as we started to get to know each other, she told me that her father passed away from alcoholism. I didn't take that into consideration. All I wanted to worry about is just getting hammered, because that made me feel good. I got to be numb. I got to escape whatever was going on in my mind and my soul. I got to escape that. So I was drinking every night. And I didn't know, man, like it was turning her off, like emotionally. Like she was just really disgusted. I appeared weak to her. So the day that we buried my friend, we had the funeral. And then I went to the driving range with one of my friends at the time, my best friend at the time. And that evening, she calls me up. She's like, hey, after you're done there, come meet me. So I met her, drove all the way to the east side. She lets me know, like, I don't want to be with you if you're drinking. And I think I was like real cocky at the time, like trying to justify everything and all that. And she reminds me again that her father passed away from alcohol, right? But that didn't stop me. So I was like, all right, man, whatever. If you can't handle me at my drinking, if you want to leave me at this time in my life, I get it. You must not love me. I was doing all that jazz, that whole manipulation, stupid shit, instead of taking accountability for my actions. So I gave up on that. That whole relationship is also one of my biggest, I guess, kind of regrets, right? That's the one that got away. So, but the main thing, the main person that I gave up on was myself. That is a nasty feeling. That's an ugly feeling, man. So throughout all that time and after, there was a whole mess of self-medicating going on. Whole mess of self-medicating, man. Eventually I get hooked on Vicodin. That was around the time my parents divorced. I made videos about that. Spoke about that in numerous videos. So that whole time I never addressed my feelings, my emotions, like in a responsible way. I wasn't classified as an adult at the time, but I never handled life as an adult, right? The main person I gave up on is myself, man. And I had to suffer through all that, restarting life over at 39. It took me my whole life to not give up on myself. When I was an athlete in high school, I didn't give up on myself, but something happened, man. Something happened. I was pretty selfish my whole life. In a good way, in a bad way. And that backfired like a motherfucker, bro. Ultimately, I gave up on myself. So now, fast forward to today, fast forward to my third rehab. Somehow, I developed a psychic change in my mind, working with my sponsor, and I learned to give myself a chance. I was tired of giving up. tired of giving up, man. Once I started giving myself a chance, that means like reaching out. That's what that means to me, is reach out, ask for help, help people as well. Once I started doing that, man, like it was a culmination of everything. It was a culmination of doing good. Once I started doing all that, man, I started noticing little blessings every day, genuine happiness, genuine rewards, genuine karma, positive karma, man. Just being able to feel again after all those years, man, it's a beautiful, beautiful experience, man. It's beautiful. So that is what giving up looks and sounds like. This is what winning looks like right here. Thanks for listening.